Oh, hey people, I'm just gonna give it let me just give it a couple of minutes to let a few people get in here online. Uh, normally have people kind of they're slow about getting on here. Um, Today, um, let's see here. Today is 11/13/2020. It's 10 p.m. here in Indianapolis. Um, let's see here. In case someone couldn't read my little thumbnail that I made today. By the way, I got this in the mail today. I'm not sure if anyone can see it, but I'm a big fan of that guy. Um, I actually got more than that. I probably should have showed all that. I got some stickers and what else? Oh, my letter was torn open though that it came in. I think someone was like scared that it was like a virus or something. It looks like someone tried to go through my mail. But anyway, so if anyone's got any certain topics they want me to touch on, I think I'm just going to do about an hour show, and then later on tonight, once my children go to sleep, probably do like another hour or so. The main thing is, I guess I'll just kind of point out my little thumbnail I made, though. Let me just kind of get off the screen here. But this is basically something that was talking about election. Oh, let's get, okay. Yeah, basically it's like it was asking people, hey, do you think this election, if they made it to where it was only mail-in ballots, what do you think the likelihood of it, of the voting, not what would you think the likelihood of fraud would be? And it's like 39% said very likely, and then 23% said somewhat likely. So that's almost 2/3 of the people, almost 2/3 of the people thought you would have voter fraud if you did that. And then I got this little message by Trump where he's talking to Joe Biden. Ooh, let me kind of get out of the screen here. It says the script calls for me winning an election rigged against me. You know that, Joe. Only way to bring in the new world order. So basically, what my little kind of like thing I did in like a minute I spent on it was basically just saying that my belief about this election is that it's all a scripted show. Like they never cared about when people like me were complaining to our government. I was calling up my elected officials. I still need to upload those calls I made because I made it on my other computer right before I got this one. And I recorded these calls. But I was calling up elected officials, demanding that they investigate the rigging that was going on in these Republican primaries, especially in Massachusetts against Dr. Shiva, where he actually does have evidence that they admitted they got rid of the ballot images. You're supposed to hold ballot images for 22 months. And I think it was the Secretary of State admitted that they destroyed them. And because he thought that he should have, they thought their whole camp thought they should have won. A lot of people that were not in their camp thought they should have won. You're talking about he lost to a guy that didn't even hardly have any yard signs sitting in anyone's yards, and you see all this Dr. Shiva stuff all over the place. But this guy, who he was running against, is I think his name's Kevin O'Connor. I know his last name's O'Connor. I think it's Kevin O'Connor. Here's this guy. No one hardly knew he was running, yet somehow Dr. Shiva loses against him. So I called up my reps and I said, hey, man, why don't we get a jump on this. A lot of people are talking about they're worried about the general election against Trump being rigged. I said, why don't we get a jump on it and start looking up these primaries, these Republican primaries, because it looks kind of fishy. It looks like maybe Democrats were on helping those get rigged, considering Dr. Shiva was like he looked like the most anti-deep state candidate that's ran in 100 years, even more so than Trump. I said, that sounds like the kind of guy we need to have behind us. Why don't we go investigate that? Because a lot of people are suspicious. You already even heard about, I think Project Veritas had already maybe done one video by then, or talking about someone. I think people had started talking about it already and started talking about worrying about it. But here these guys go, never giving me a call, never answering me back, and things like that. And so then I get this election. But see, now everyone cares about the rigging. Now everyone's worried. And to me, it's scripted. I told people back in at least June that I thought Kamala was going to be the VP. Someone's like, well, why do you think that? And I go, well, because the Democrats want to run the worst ticket possible. I thought Biden was already going to be the pick, and he wound up being the nomination. And I thought it for that same reason. And then when I saw this Corona stuff start happening and the riots, I figured you're going to have Kamala be the VP. And I even said on a friend's show on September, and I wrote, and before that, I wrote an article about it. And I said that I think they're going to intentionally rig it. And I said the reason why they're running Kamala and Joe Biden is to make the rigging more obvious. Because see, if it was a good candidate, you might be like, well, I could see how I would win. But when it's two really bad people that no one's showing up for their for the rallies and stuff, no one's excited. They were the least liked candidates running, and both of them are technically, you could say they're not. They don't even meet the constitutional standard for running. Joe Biden, they say, might be kicked out of presidency by the 25th Amendment. And then Kamala Harris, she might not even be a U.S. citizen, let alone a natural born citizen. So not only are they like corrupt, but they also got these constitutional issues of why they shouldn't even be in office. And on top of that, you just had all this Hunter Biden stuff come out. And I think this rigging, I think the dumbest person can look at it and go, man, this looks pretty bad. It looks like they're rigging it. Well, I think that's because they want you to know it. So I'm going to just stop for a second and read people's comments. So your eight truth seeking says the globalists are getting everything they want just as fast as human psychologically possible. Every day it's another tiny cut, one more towards the death of 1,000 cuts. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. When looking at 2021 Agenda 201, Agenda 2030, Agenda 2050, GSM, Grand Solar Maximum, it's hard to know where to go, what to do. Obviously, if one isn't high on their value list, equals not essential. Metil says, I've been trying to tell people from the beginning that Trump is exactly who they wanted to start this takeover. Exactly. I'll read this one other comment because it complements just what you said. Yep, Trump card. The last Trump shall sound. Seems like the good book has always been their playbook. Yeah, I do kind of see that to a degree. But I kind of want to just go right back to this guy's comment, Mitz's comment. He says, I've been trying to tell people from the beginning that Trump is exactly who they wanted to start this takeover. And that's exactly it. And the reason why I've been doing these shows more is because I feel like I don't even feel, I see that people are getting so caught up in Trump, and it really amazes me because these are people that I know are pretty educated. Some I even think could do a better show than me if they weren't so emotional about Trump. I mean, if they could just be logical and look at this, like, I mean, I think these people, would do much better shows. I would support them. I would probably do less shows and just hand them money and be like, let's make your show super great. Like you're a lot more read than me. You know a lot about the Jesuits. You craft your shows really well. You produce your shows really well. You speak really well. Like, I don't even think I speak very well, and but I feel kind of compelled because I feel like I have to at least throw a voice out there that's like, hey, this dude just nominated a bunch of deep state. Like, okay, I voted for Trump, but let's be real here. When I voted for him, it was like it basically, I was like, okay, I do see all these deep state people attacking him. He does say some of the right things, like looking into 9/11 and build a wall and put a halt to all this immigration, especially all the illegal immigration coming in from the South, because we know what that's about. That's about changing the vote. That's about, like, because most Catholics vote Democrat. We know the Pope pushes a liberal agenda like global warming, climate change. He's pushing that green Sabbath. He's pushing what else? He's pushing anti-guns and all these other things. And so we want to put a halt onto all that immigration coming from the South because that's 90% Catholic. So what are they gonna? If their Pope is saying this, what are these people gonna say? So it only makes logical sense. So when I voted for Trump, I was like, you're saying the right things. I'll go ahead and vote for you. I see these people being who's attacking you, but I mean, I voted with him, was still like, okay, let's make sure this guy's doing, because it's a little too good to be true that we finally, after 100 years, got a guy that's legit. Because I only think Kennedy became legit after his newborn died, and I think he had one of these like David moments, like when his son died and he looked at it like a judgment from God. And I wonder if Kennedy sort of had the same thing, because it seemed like right then he started ramping up this talk against the New World Order. So I'm like, okay, maybe he was legit for just like maybe an 8-month period, and then he got his brains blown out because he was going to go against the Vatican. I mean, that's that hidden hand that I believe he kept hinting to in his speeches right before he died. I believe he might have been ready to expose the Vatican, and that's why he got his brains blown out. He started. I think he was going to go against him. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just kind of my thoughts, but I don't think we've had a legit president for 100 years. So when Trump got elected, I was like, okay, this is a little too good to be true. Let's keep an eye on him. So when you see people like, he starts right off the bat. He nominates Acosta. Well, who's Acosta associated with? Epstein. And what did he do for Epstein? He gave him a sweetheart deal that helped him get off the hook back in 2008. So how are you going to go after Epstein if you're nominating these people that are letting these people off the hook, right? So then I'm like, okay, maybe you got a plan. Remember, trust the plan. So, but then you see Kavanaugh. Well, Kavanaugh sabotaged the Vince Foster investigation. Kavanaugh is for spying. There's quotes saying that there's a moral imperative to do something about climate change. Kavanaugh's got all these bad things with him, being a bad judge. Plus, he could have ended the deep state had he not sabotaged the Vince Foster investigation. Then you get Barr coming in. Well, what was Barr involved in? Ruby Ridge. He got those agents off the hook, and he's like, and this is a BS thing. And anyone who's like a real true patriot should know this is a bad thing when you just take orders from people. Like, what if the government came to you, like, told soldiers, hey, I want you to go in there, bust those people's doors out and take their guns. But Sarge, it's against the Constitution. I'm not going to do it. Right? That's what you would expect from real patriot soldiers, right? Well, Barr said, no. Go in there And you can take, and if we told you to blow a mother's brains out while she's holding a baby, and we told you to do it, we're going to get you off the hook. And I'm going to make sure I defend you and get you off the hook. So in the future, you'll be able to do your job, which is just obeying us, obeying the government. And that's exactly what Barr did. And he bragged about it, I think, when he was getting nominated a second time by Trump. When Trump nominated him for Attorney General, he sat there and was like talking about his pro bono work, his free work, right? What was that work? That was work getting these agents off the hook. But see, what we need to do is, when you're a soldier or police officer, you also have a duty to do the right thing, to obey the Constitution. You can't just take orders blindly from the government and just go do them. But Barr is saying, no, that's what we want you to do. That's what we expect you to do, and we'll get you off the hook. Well, if that's going to be the case, you know what? We can't really even stand up against this new world order. You know, I mean, that's it. That's game over. But here's Trump nominating those people, right? So I'm just going to pause for a second, and I'll get back to that, because I'll throw some things up on the screen just to even emphasize these points I already made even more. All right, let's just read a few things. So 8 Truth Seeking is saying depopulation by 2050, depopulation of the U.S. by 2025, restructured society and political system by 2030. Okay, I'm going to stop. That's exactly what I think all this this rigging against Trump is. I think it's a scripted show. Like I said, they ran Kamala and Biden on purpose to even make it more obvious when they rig it. And then they're going to have Trump fight it, and Trump's going to win it, and people are going to think Trump's a hero, and that Trump's fighting the New World Order. But that's what that's going to be. But what that's going to be used to get, what that's going to be used for, is they're going to be like, wow, there's so much election fraud. What can we do? Well, let's institute these technologies, and that's going to be the deal that goes on. It's like, we showed you there's all this evil fraud, even though you didn't do nothing for Dr. Shiva or Tim Canova back in 2018 or 2016, when he was ripped off by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who helped Hillary Clinton rip off Bernie Sanders. But even though Bernie Sanders didn't really care, he's kind of like just went along with the whole thing anyway. He just cared about money. He's just there to do his job. So, and his job is just to kind of hook the kids back into the Democrat Party, you know. So they didn't care about that voter fraud. So that voter fraud's not the real issue. They don't really care. But what they're going to do is they're going to have Trump probably win this. That's just my gut feeling, is that, and from what I've been seeing, is that they're going to have Trump win this election. And then they're going to institute technologies to do away with this voter fraud they proved exist. But those technologies are actually going to be used to control you more. Just like, oh, you got corona, we're trying to protect your health by tracing you and everything, and knowing what every single thing you're doing and every single place you're going. That way we know who you might have came in contact if you accidentally got corona, and we want to know who's spreading it to who, to try to save lives. So that's what they're going to do with this election rigging, this whole scripted thing. That I believe that's how they're going to institute these technologies, and I believe that they're going to do probably something similar with currency systems and things like that, and it's all going to be to wrap people up into this whole new world order that they're going to create. So anyway, I'll read the rest of your comment. He says, I even question whether the GSM Grand Solar Minimum might be just the opposite PSYOP Warman. That good book part was from Revelations. Sketchy Peasant says, RIP MAGA 2016 through 2020. 8 Truth Seeking says, definitely Trump is the lone underdog superhero whose kryptonite is playing by the rules, is our soon-to-be fallen political savior. Okay, Miss Molly says the Trump supporters all say they are awake, but they are still fast asleep. I absolutely love your show. I just found it, and you are one of the first people I look for. Oh, thank you. Keep going, Chris. We need you. Thanks. If Trump ever intended to lock anyone up, he would have appointed Barr Durham Way. He would have never appointed Barr Durham Way, Kavanaugh, and many, many more. They are deep state. The deep state won't investigate the deep state. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. And all Roman Catholics too, from what I understand. Media Fair. Hey, you see that? Oh, that was awesome. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. The letter was awesome. But the only thing was, like, it was like torn open. You know what? I'll be right back. Just give me like 30 seconds. I'm gonna run and go get that. No, hey guys, I'm still doing the show. No. But sorry about that. But all that was very awesome. That like really made my day. So I appreciate all of this. Appreciate everything you wrote on the back. Appreciate the happy birthday. You are I'm one of your biggest fans, I hope. But see, look at that. That was all tore up. So I don't know if there was anything else in it. I don't know if it's because of your address. If that's why they tore it open. But hey, I really appreciate that. That like really made my day. So okay, anyway, a truth seeking says, yes, the Great Reset is just one piece coming January 25th, 2021, and it will cause chaos through August, September. But again, it is just one step. 70 trillion adjusted, 650 trillion more to go. Yeah. And a truth seeking says, yes, they knew Trump would flush out and identify all the opposition conservatives, and that they would use his losses as a blame excuse for the rest of the chaos so they can make their order. And yes, I completely agree. That's great, man. Anyway, Eighth Truth Seeking says, we need all the humor and sarcasm to help us through. Yes. Media Bear is super important. I'm very uplifting for the morale, because I gotta say, man, it was a shot in the arm for morale. And I think anyone who heard that and just to hear like some good music, like they felt like uplifted, where it was like, wow, there's someone like making something brilliant. And most people like a lot of those 80s songs too, and they like, it's just like a really good vibe. It was like perfect. It's like it was just like, I thought it was like so perfect to hear. So I know I'm like really excited for it. So all right, so I'm just gonna kind of want to show some pictures I found on my phone that kind of ties into things I was saying. Let me make sure. Okay, it's up there. So anyway, Archbishop Gilroy said, we must defeat all heretics at the ballot box. care must be taken that no suspicion may be raised when Roman Catholics are secretly given more government jobs than Protestants, Jews, and other heretics. And that was by Archbishop Gilroy. So just think about everything that Trump's done during his presidency, and remember this comment. I wish I knew what year that comment was said. But I know this was like quite a while ago because I've had these comments. I knew about these comments for at least maybe 4 to 6 years. So this was, I think this is something that was written a long time ago. Here's one from 1870 by Father Hecker, Catholic World, July 1870. There is ere long to be a state religion in this country. They're referring to America, and that state religion is to be the Roman Catholic. The Roman Catholic is to wield his vote for the purpose of securing Catholic ascendancy in this country. So when they have all those illegals coming in from the South, and they're trying to end all that, and trying to have open borders and things, this is their big goal right here. And it did happen when Reagan passed amnesty. California, a lot of people don't know this, but California used to be a Republican state, and as soon as he passed amnesty, considering like what I said earlier, about the majority of the Catholics voting for supporting what the Pope says, and when your Pope is saying all these like Democrat ideals like climate change, open borders, anti-gun, so what do you think all these people from these like poor Catholic countries, when they come here, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to vote for the party that supports those ideals. So California, as soon as amnesty was passed by Reagan, it turned into a Democrat state. So it just kind of goes to validate this Friar Hecker's point. And the same guy goes on to say, all legislation must be governed by the will of God. Well, basically by the will of their God, unerringly indicated by the Pope. Education must be controlled by Catholic authorities, and under education, the opinions of the individual and the utterances of the press are included. So it kind of just goes up to back up the point of the video I made about who removed the Bible from public schools. And I showed you in 1840, the Catholic Church made deals with the politicians at the time, mainly Democrats, because that's basically the only real party that you had back then. And then you see in like 1958, they start removing the Bibles out of all the schools, and at 39, I think it's 39 in New York alone, and I think it was removed completely in 2 other states, but I can't remember right off the top of my head. Anyway, he goes on to say, and many opinions are to be forbidden by the secular arm under the authority of the church, even to war and bloodshed. You see a lot of increase in wars, like we're constantly at war, constantly interfering with other countries. And the one thing that has grown in our country during that time is the Catholic presence in our government. So, constitutions can be changed, and non-Catholic sects may decline to such a point that the political prescription of them may become feasible and expedient. What protection would they have against a Catholic state? And that was by the State and the Church, page 3839 by Miller and Ryan. And I can't even pronounce it, of Cardinal Hayes. So Emperor Mator of Cardinal Hayes. I think that's how you say it. So I just want to share that little bit to just kind of follow up with some of those earlier points made. Okay, so eighth truth seeking says the part about the 650 trillion is the world assets that they have yet to zero out of the current financial system. And as I understand it, they literally zero them out. Bad for us. Wow, heretics. Good guy. Yep. All right. Hey, thank you, Media Bear. We all appreciate you stopping by. A lot of big fans of yours. So thank you very much. Oh, it looks like he's got another baby on the way, too, when I'm watching that video. And what you, at the end of that last video you did, that Karen and Sam video, oh, I thought that was like brilliant, where he like pats the, I'm guessing that's his wife, and he pats the pregnant belly. You know what? I just want to play that little. I'll play that little part. So I thought that was brilliant. Oh gosh, I gotta get over to my channel real quick so I can. Okay, let me share that screen, and I'll just do it for a moment and just get back to all the other topics. Made one little mistake. Just bear with me.
You know what season it is?
But I just want that. I thought the whole thing was really good.
Of the lockdown. Of the lockdown.
Here we go.
Some positive unintended consequences of the lockdown.
Like, he does so many little brilliant things like that. Some positive unintended unintended consequences of the lockdown. I just thought that was so well timed, and like so many good things. So much good stuff. Oh, you gotta see it. It's so good, man. It is so good. You have to see that. Like, it's brilliant. Like, I hate John Mellencamp, and like he took that song, and I was actually like still, you know, playing it in my head because I love some of the lyrics. They're so brilliant. I love the chorus. The chorus is gonna get you. I won't tell you. I'll let you watch it. You got it. The chorus is really good. But anyway, eight truth seeking says, seems that our world has always been their world, going way, way back. You know what? I'm starting to think that more and more. Like, I'm like wondering like how much of like a matrix have we basically all been living in, you know, just metaphorically. I mean, I don't really think we're living in a computer simulation. I'm just talking about like how they basically are just like watching us like we're in a fishbowl. It seems like they got so much control, and they just like, I mean, it really is almost like God. Like, I don't know. I mean, I kind of like wonder, you know, just, you know, does God just kind of like just sort of like let Satan kind of like do his thing. It really seems like it's like, I don't think humans alone, I'm not sure if they can really script it out like this. It's just incredibly scripted out and so controlled from the top. And I wonder if it's just basically the only time that anything decent in this world goes on is like when we have like moments of like somewhat trying to fight everything. And I think like the world is kind of like a lot of Christianity has gotten sleepy and lazy, and it like a lot of people just like I honestly think a lot of this is a judgment because of the way that the churches of the world are. And like, and even myself, I even look at things going on in my, just like looking deep into myself, and like feel like, like some of this is partly my fault, and like it, like, you know maybe God's just kind of like bringing it on, to kind of like wake us all up, because we a lot of us have gotten like maybe a little bit kind of lazy and lax in our walk and things like that. And so I'm gonna go real deep into beating myself up right this second. But what comment was that? I'd read that one, but I'm not even really sure. Anyway, Eighth Truth Seeking says, how many of the civilizations that have come and gone that had better technology than we have now in some ways, is this like a repeating theme, some sort of prison? Westworld just seems unreal. I don't, guys, I'm not really, I don't really know what to really say to that, because I mean, there is like some things like I don't know about as far as like technology being better. Maybe in some ways. I mean, they did figure out how to build some pyramids, and there's a lot of people that still can't seem to figure that one out. So, and I guess there is sort of a repeating. So, anyway, those who want truth will seek it out. I do try to expose as many as I can to what I can see. Yeah, that's. I think that's all we can really hope to do is try to help each other shed some light on things for the ones that do want to see it. Because it's like, I mean, I know I don't catch everything, and so I mean, I'm just trying to shed light. And I know, I've been caught up in my own I can see I've been caught up in my emotions too, or at least, where I've had that temptation to be caught up in my emotions. Like, boy, it sure would be nice and comfortable to believe this. This sure seems to feel really good. I mean, you go to like these events, like music concerts, where I've been in the past, and it feels really good when you're with a crowd of people and you're all like enjoying the same thing. You're all like rooting for the same person and same people, and you're actually like, you got camaraderie, and it's like this real big body of like, humanity and things like that. And it's just like you're all united, and it feels like that little concert you're at is like really like, like a nice world to be in. And I think the same thing happens with like when you believe in Trump and things like that. Like, you go to these rallies and they feel really good, and it's just nice to have this like rah rah, and then it's like you meet people in public, and it's like, oh yeah, man, and we got to fight this new world order together. And it gives you like all, this like sense of like hope and things like that. But I don't want my hope to be false either. I want to be realistic. I want to call things out, because it's like tried calling things out, and just got banned by bunches and bunches of people. I think I even saved a few of them. Go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead just because I'll just go ahead and share that up on the screen and see here. I think that's one. Oops, wrong screen. Let's try. So I remember early on, I was trying to be in these Trump groups and they're like, hey, man, dude, we need to like stop this Kavanaugh nomination, or we need to stop this Barr nomination. And it's like, okay, I gave you facts. It's not like I said anything untrue. And it's like, boom, blocked, like this guy, it's like, he's telling me he's from Indiana and, came from a family of Dems. And he says Donald Trump would never buckle to the deep state. So I just wanted, and I posted like some of the images I've shared in the past. And I was like, well, look at this. Why do you nominate Kavanaugh? Look at all the stuff Kavanaugh did or Barr did. And he's like, I got no place in my life for wavering patriots. Like, dude, I'm the one who's trying to be real and trying to stop this. It's like, and asking these questions. He's like, I have no place in my life for wavering patriots. I'm sorry I supported this president for 45 years. No, you didn't. You have been supporting him. My baby, you're crazy. But man of honor, true patriot. Well, he wasn't that at all of his 45 years. He cannot be bought nor paid for, is not a caver on his country. No one knows pressure like Donald Trump. He's from New York, refuses the mobs, trust him. And then bam. It's like so many people have just blocked me. It's like, try to look like a true patriot, talking about all this seditious conspiracy. Well, that's what I commented on her about, I was like, hey, what, wasn't Kavanaugh and Barr guilty of like seditious conspiracy? Now, obviously, you don't want to hear it. And oh yeah, here's some of the things I would post, and these people would ban me. I was like, did Q ever? Because I think I said this up here. I said, did Q ever have a good reason for Trump to appoint one of the most corrupt DOJs ever in appointing William Barr? How does the deep state get prosecuted if this guy defends him? And so it's like, in this article, this little screenshot of an article, I show that Barr is for red flag laws. Attorney General nominee William Barr tells Dianne Feinstein red flag gun laws, ERPO laws authorizing the seizure of firearms are the single most important thing we can do in the gun control area. So he said that right to Feinstein. It's like, you guys don't think this is important? And these are the types of things I was posting. I was posting the article, so it wasn't like I'm just like, making comments. I'm, posting proof on the screen and getting blocked, and they didn't like that, And so, you got these big groups, and this is just the kind of thing that, people just in denial. He'll work for the people. It's like, dude, did you just, like, you saw what I just posted and you just keep telling me he's going to work for the people? And I said, Barr will work for the people based on what? Not history, because he defended the actions of Janet Reno and her goons involved in Waco. No, I guess you can argue about the Waco thing. Maybe you can argue about that. Okay, because, I did see like another new documentary and some new evidence that, Koresh, might have been like a worse person than what, people thought. But part of the reason that people were siding with David Koresh so much was because of how William Barr had just handled Ruby Ridge, which was a complete disaster. That's where he told those agents, go that, I mean, basically those he defended those agents for putting a bullet in that woman's head who was just holding a baby. And William and Randy Weaver did nothing wrong, and these agents go on the property and put a bullet in his son's head, and then put a bullet in his wife's head. And I said Ruby Ridge was a sickening episode of injustice, which he was involved in. And he did help cover up Mina. That's one thing you cannot deny at all. He did help cover it up. He's got a code name, Robert Johnson, that was involved in that whole cover up. So, yeah, seeing right here, I mean, posting newspaper articles. U.S. to pay family in FBI Idaho raid. See, he was innocent. So it's like there was like no reason for these people to ban me and do any of this stuff. And well, now this guy's never banned me. This guy, best guy I can think of to follow on Twitter, and kind of like sums up what I just said, because he says, by censoring, marginalizing those who refuse to submit to mainstream views, mass and social media stoke the flames of terror around the world. The very point of discourse is to enable expression and persuasion to supplant violence as a tactic and strategy. I want to rate his other point. That was a really good point he made. Did I not save it? That's horrible. Because his follow-up point was, in refusing this option, no, I can't even remember it off the top of my head. But basically, he was basically saying, by not giving people that option, you're basically going to push people into violence and starting wars and having what we got going on right now. Because we can't just sit there and have a conversation. We get banned, we get blocked. It's like all those people. It's like, they think they're doing something. I don't think they think they're doing something good by blocking me. But if you do think you are doing something, no, what you're doing is you're no longer wanting to even have a conversation. You're no longer wanting to have discourse. There's no way I can persuade you or you can persuade me, but you didn't even want to try to persuade me with facts or anything. You just want to be like, nope, I just don't believe it. Well, that's not really good, You try to do it with facts, to actually change people with logic, not emotion. Because if we're just going to be all emotional, we might as well just be like BLM and all these other groups that have no facts, just like go and burn stuff without any facts, or we're just going to live off emotion, just like most Democrats. That's the exact thing that for most Democrats, they just live off emotion and go with it. So I'm just going to read a couple more comments I saw come in. Yes, whatever we pursued, we are all guilty. It is difficult when our world has been so corrupted from the moment of birth. Oh yeah, that's a great point about what I was like saying earlier. Yeah, awesome point. Because I know as a kid I was trying to do the right things and I was trying to understand. And then you're told, well, I remember growing up real poor, and my uncle one time, he was like, hey, if you want to go putt-putt with us and go to the arcade, you got to go now. And I was like, well, I wanted to go to church because I thought, going to church, honoring God, it would be a good thing. And he's like, well, you can either choose to go to church or you can go with me and your cousin and go to the arcade. And I was like, well, I'm going to go to church because I was thinking, okay, it's like, I need, I'm going to try to do the right thing, and I think you try to put God first. But that was a tough thing for me to do as like an 8-year-old kid or a 7-year-old kid, because I was like, man, like doing that was like going to Disneyland or something. Like, because you grow up poor, man. It's like, you don't get to do that stuff, and it's not like you got a lot around your house. And and I remember week after week having to make that decision. But I mean, eventually my uncle started going to church and everything. So it's, but I remember for a while it was just like that. And so, yeah, I mean, but even then it's like, you're taught, like I go to school and I'm told that evolution's true. So if evolution's true, and and people keep telling me, well, Jesus is going to come again. I'm a kid. I'm like, dude, I just went to school and I'm learning it. And I'm thinking, okay, you wouldn't send me to school if they were teaching something wrong, right? You're an adult. All you adults would have already questioned this, right? So it must be proven, or why would you send us there? Or, or you would at least tell us, right? So I'm just like assuming that, well, it must have got proven, but I'm trying to make it fit with the Bible, and it just doesn't, right? And then you're told, well, Jesus is going to come back again. I'm like, did Jesus let this world go on like this for millions of years? I'm starting to have like some doubts about the Bible or about what you people are saying. And like, I honestly think that's part of the reason why I went into all this new age later in my life, because I'm like sitting there, um, wondering, like, one day I had like this, epiphany. What if we're all God, and what if this reality is just something you create to feel good, and because that's kind of what people kind of seem to do anyway, so it's like, well, and so I'm like, well, maybe that's what the whole thing was, maybe God wanted to take, and he hated being alone, so he took and shattered his consciousness all over the place, and we're all like and just spread it out and wanted to forget about being God and everything, and just completely forget it, and got thrown in all these beans, and I just had weird thoughts like that going into my mind, and I look at everybody and the whole world like it's all God. But why did I think about things like that? It was basically the world I'm living in, and everybody kind of like driving me into that direction with like things like evolution, because I'm wondering, if the world's been around a million years, is Jesus ever gonna come back? What you gotta do? Go a million more? And he's like, okay, someone says, sorry, that may be a little deep for the topics on here for now. If you look into some of the temples in India, unbelievable stuff. There's a cloud of delusion on all the masses. They have everyone all twisted up. It's not always easy to unwind, and I definitely agree with that. It makes me wonder, what is the purpose of life? Is all the world a stage, or are we all one soul? That's kind of what my whole like new age experience was, but I kind of get what you're saying. Someone else says faith equals peace. A truth seeking says yes, the good versus bad paradigm is almost always the same as left versus right, all duality to an extent. Miss Molly says, at Mitch, Met Till, I believe the strong delusion has started. Oh, yeah. I wonder, is Trump the strong delusion? I mean, that's a pretty strong one when I got these friends that are really well read, know about the Jesuits, did videos about the Eustachi, and it's like, okay, I can understand voting for Trump that first time, but this second time, after you saw everyone who he nominated, and you see what's going on, and I was on like one of my friends, I was on his show, and I said, I think they're going to run Kamala, and they're going to run it because they want the worst ticket possible, and they're going to rig it, and they're going to make it obvious because they might want to start a civil war. And it's like, and here I go, I'm like, trying to talk to him now. I'm like, you don't think this rigging looks suspiciously like too obvious? Like, doesn't it look real obvious? Like you're trying to get caught. Like, I feel like they're going out of their way to get caught. And here these people are like, oh man, those evil Democrats. And it's like, man, dude, like they're going out of their way. Like this isn't like it's like stealing and you're banging a pan around as you're walking out the door, or like like you're waving the TV as you're walking out the front of the store. It's like, dude, they're not even trying to hide it really. Like it looks like they're trying to get caught. So I mean that's why I'm like, I think this is part of the strong delusion. It seems like, man, it's like your emotions are so caught up, you can't get out of it. And then it's like this one friend, man. I mean, here he is, like a pretty deep Christian. I mean, on the show the prior week, I had no 2 weeks, like a couple of weeks ago, I had him on one of my shows, and I heard him on a show recently, and he's like, if you're against Trump, you can go to hell. Basically, is what he says, like, telling people if you're against Trump, you can go to hell. Really? Like, dude, like, and it's just, you let this guy get to you like that. And, we throw out these points about Kavanaugh, and you're like, and he just keeps, and he knows that all these points I've already made, all these things. I mean, I can show people like in seconds, man, stuff about Barr. And it's like, really? I mean, you would tell people to go to hell. It's like that's what I'm starting to think. This is a strong delusion. I think like once I personally think he's going to win this whole, he's going to defeat this rigging, because it was scripted that he would. So it's not really a defeat if it's scripted. But, and then he's going to help do things to make sure fraud doesn't happen again. And it's going to just be more New World Order stuff. It was casted a few years ago, that strong delusion. I bet that's what he's referring to. Duality in Mitz Metzel goes on to say, duality, the singularity, superposition, it is and it isn't all at the same time, light, dark, holy, evil. It's finding the blending. I don't know about that one. I'm just gonna kind of like, I don't want to make this show go too far, but anyway, Koresh was truth seeking says Koresh was both a test of the U.S. psychological and a rooting out the resistance. Everyone got promoted, just like 911. Yes, the strong delusion indeed. Oh yeah. I know what you're referring to. Yeah. Yeah, 911 was. That's another thing. I'm like surprised that some people I know, they'll elevate Trump and push up Trump, fight me on all my arguments, and be like, well, I just don't believe that. There's the proof, guys. I'm like, okay, do you believe in 9/11? Do you think 9/11 happened the way the government says? And they're like, no, not at all. The government was in on that. I'm like, well, Giuliani isn't he like palling around with Trump right now, like really high up in there? And here we got this. Didn't you just say you believe COVID-19 is like 9/11 2.0? And here we got Giuliani, who was involved in the first 9/11, all associating with Trump and palling around with Trump the second 9/11, which is even worse because the whole world is getting sucked into it. But no, just gotta keep going with Trump. Anyway, Truth Seeking says, if we are headed to a GSM, Grand Solar Minimum, 400-year global cool period, if there are too many people for the resources and food that will be available, are they the good ones? and we the baddies. Yeah, I still wonder if that grand solar minimum is gonna happen, but I mean, we got all the resources, but the whole thing is with the COVID, it's like they won't let the pickers come across the border, so they can't pick the food, so it just rots on the ground and no one's eating. And I've had that whole hunger meter, in a couple of my shows, kind of make it a fixture in my shows, and you can see that people are I guess every time I do a show, at least 1,000 people die of hunger, of starvation while I'm doing a show. So, yeah, here we go. Pull that up. See, almost, it's getting close to 8 million people dying of hunger. You watch that little meter tick, there's someone else died of hunger, another one. I mean, it happens like that fast. How many people just died this month? 320,000 people died this month alone. It's going to be 321,000 before the show's over, probably, or at least close to it. So it's like we already got this problem with people dying. We can't have them come across the border and pick some of this food and eat it. No, we got to keep you on the other side of that border and just let you starve to death because we care about you so much because we're trying to save you from corona. It's like people are just being so dishonest about this whole thing. They deserve to go to hell, to be honest. Because this is definitely not about a virus, because just the money the USA spent alone could have probably stopped 8 million people from dying of starvation this year. In fact, had you spent that money on nutrition and food, even the people in the US and around the world that's already died of corona, it quite possibly they wouldn't have died if they would have had better nutrition. Most people, I heard this one stat that said 80% of the people are vitamin D deficient, and I've showed in other videos where these oh, what do you call it, like medical oh man, I'm really sorry. These like medical studies where they show their patients and things like that died of corona, and they'll be like, well, these people, were vitamin D deficient. These people, we gave them high doses of vitamin D, and you can see the ones that gave high doses of vitamin D, even with like like hydroxychloroquine and these other treatments. Well, if you give them high doses of vitamin D, their death rate's almost zero. So you would think, and this has been known, this isn't like something new. This is something that's been known for years and years and years. And you would think if our health departments in each state cared about people, they would have been doing public service announcements like, hey, make sure you're taking more vitamin D. If they really care, they would have used this money to better people's nutrition, their food, instead of just paying people to stay home. Most people who don't even need to be paid to stay at home, and you're paying them to stay at home. So it's like, it's really sick the way they've gone about handling this whole thing. Miss Molly says the people on the right refuse to see that they are exactly like those on the left. As far as silencing dissenting ideals, they both are intolerant of the opposite side. Yeah, with the left being a little bit more, but man, I tell you what, a lot of people on the right, man, it's like that emotion. They don't like things being challenged, and they got that pride of being always told they're right. And yeah, it's like, but you could be more right. Wouldn't you like to be more right at least? But it's like, no, I want to be this much right, and don't tell me anything that contradicts something I believe that's wrong. Make me feel bad. So, Eighth Truth Seeking says the shame is that there are so many people that are cooperative and would work for common good, if only the truth-based. Unfortunately, it seems the strong delusion and deceptions are preferred by most. And yes, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, it does seem like people would work for the common good. Truth seeking says, yes, equals the grow up, get a job, get ahead, keep up with the Jones, have fun, more. If empathetic, feeling others' pain is confusing, drives you toward pain relief. Oh, if empathetic, feeling other people's pain is confusing and drives you towards pain relief. So yeah, I can see that being part of people's problem too, and they kind of cut off their empathy. Um, one thing about that whole get a job thing too, I wouldn't mind the government handing out people like a monthly like dividend check, something like, and what was his name, Andrew Yang said, like that. It could be a feasible system. But the problem is you got to give everybody the same amount. Like you can't just like make certain people work and then to others they get to stay at home and just play with their kids or hang out and keep pushing bad false narratives while other people are working, and supporting you while you're pushing all these false narratives, which is what I feel like some of the Democrats I knew. I'm not going to call them friends anymore because I think our relationships are over. Because there's some that, man, there's just no getting to, and it's just done. 30-year friendships, they're just done. Um, but I mean, like a system like Andrew Yang was proposing, it could work. But the only reason why I think people like him are somewhat dishonest is that they never talk about ending the Federal Reserve, this debt based money system. If they would say that, plus propose a system like that, plus say you're going to give everyone the same amount of money monthly, like, because the whole thing is you would still be rewarded you could still get rewarded for ingenuity and things, because it's like everybody wants that dollar to still be able to, like, I still want to be able to buy tools for a couple of dollars. Well, if we can learn how to make those tools more efficiently, I can still buy it for a couple of dollars. I might even be able to buy it cheaper, even though they printed out more money. If you're more efficient, you can maintain that money. Because I mean, like, as long as my money can still buy me a loaf of bread for $1, that good. Hey, if you can make things efficient enough to where it's now 50 cents and we got even more money, I don't mind that there's like like 3 or 10 times the amount of money floating around, just as long as that $1 and that amount of time I spent can either buy the same loaf of bread or 3 loaves of bread for that same dollar. That's fine. There just needs to be a balance, and there's not that, and that balance ain't going on right now. And what they're eventually going to do is they're going to print this money, and then they're going to take it back out of the system. And once they take it out, your banker is not going to be like, oh, $1's worth more now. I tell you what, since the value of $1 is worth more, I'm going to reduce your mortgage from $800 a month to $200 a month, because they pulled that much money out of the system. No, it's still going to be $800. You're eventually, and what you're going to have is people fighting harder for that dollar. You're going to have people they make plenty of stuff to buy. No one buying it because they ripped all the money out of the system. You can't put anyone to work because you don't have enough money there to put people to work. There's not there, and I think that's what they're going to wind up doing too. Is they're putting all this money out there. I think things might eventually like inflate a little bit, and then they're going to jerk all the money back out of it and contract it. I kind of see that as like one scenario that might develop, and that's the whole thing with the current system we're on, and it's why it's pretty dangerous. Um, anyway, Miss Molly says when you're poor, going for a ride in the woods was like Disney World. Mitch Metal says there's power in blood. Says magic is real. Well, they seem to think it, and I mean they do really believe a lot of that, especially a lot of that new age energy thing. But it's more like they take it to like a satanic level, you know. Eight Truth Seeking says, yeah, I was always confused as a kid. Why would adults allow and do these bad things? Yeah. I always wondered why they let the world get to the way it is. Like, I mean, I was like amazed when I started growing up. Mitz Metal says all the ritual blood that is spilled is a representation of blood shed on the cross, the energy it creates. Eighth Truth Seeking says if magic is real more than NLP and power words, then what is real? The door out of here, i.e. Truman Show. Eight Truth Seeking says abortion would be also, yeah. That high priestess around the Clintons called Trump the great magician. Yeah, he sure did. Or a great magi or magician. So one of those. Yeah, I remember hearing about that and seeing. I think I even saw it. Yeah, I think I've heard it. That Abramovich. I think that's who it was. Mitch Metal says the door out and recognizing yourself is recognizing yourself. The door out is recognizing yourself. Eighth Truth Seeking says yes equals no way the trillionaire elites with all their think tanks would run such obvious poor choices for the Dems unless they had think tanked it out for maximum division and chaos. Yeah, and installing that the world order they're getting ready to install, all those new techs and everything. Eighth Truth Seeking says, once you recognize yourself, how you climbed the mountain and met God, then you will come down to your laundry. Then you wake up and have to live here the next day still. And Eighth Truth Seeking says, yep, how many pictures of Trump are with all the deep state? Yeah, there's a ton of pictures, aren't there? Ton of them. Actually, I probably I'm going to try to catch up on these comments real quick and then share one thing. And then I'll probably end this in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then I'll try to do another. I don't know. I don't expect anyone to be up late, but I'm going to probably do a show again once all my children go to sleep. I work nights. So, I mean, I just kind of just do late night shows just because I'm trying to keep my body on the same schedule. But anyway, Eighth Truth Seeking says, yes, they are calling us in advance of the cooling, or at least that's the excuse used. How would we know for sure? They keep us in the dark, lied to all the time. Probably about that grand solar maximum. Eighth Truth Seeking says, yes, we are all disconnected to people around the world, starvation, etc. A sin we are so much guilty of. Yes. Metel says, we have to keep fighting against what they pour on the masses. It's hard to discern truth. Yes, definitely. Now more than probably ever. Eighth Truth Seeking says, Miss Molly equals. That is so true. People are so unwilling to stop and think and consider one another. United Heretics Rising, General's Constitutional Keys. Probably just say United Heretics Rising. Says, how's it going, brothers and sisters? Okay, sorry. I just didn't mean to read just like a general comment like that. That's okay. It's going good, man. I'm glad you showed up. Eighth Truth Seeking says, is there any realism in thinking that this will go in some other direction than what is planned? Sometimes it seems that the biblical end real or purposely mimicked. Yeah, I do think they're trying to mimic some of it. And that's going to be the thing, the deception. I mean, um, I kind of think, I wonder, if people like they keep, some of my same friends that call the United States, like they were like thinking, oh man, I think it's the second beast of Revelations, which I don't know. I think the Rome was the first beast and the Vatican was the second beast. But regardless, I mean, like I'm still kind of trying to. I kind of go back and forth about a lot of those ideals myself, so I'm not like dead set or dogmatic in any of it. But it's just kind of surprising that someone that would say that the U.S. is the second beast, and then would see what Trump is doing, and then just not, but not be able to see it, like still support Trump and be crying about him, and things like that. It's like it's amazing to me. It's so amazing. Like I'm like, how do you how do you not see this? And I really do fear for people like that. Like what if Trump, you could see all this, like this whole ecumenical church thing going on with Trump and the Catholic Church. And you can see how there is a possibility that they could unite church and state together with like the direction all this is going, especially with some of those quotes from the Catholic Church I read earlier. It's like, there's a real possibility that you might think like this is a great like spiritual awakening and things, and you might think that I don't know if they might be caught up in something like a false 1,000-year reign of Christ, or they get caught up in like really like some sort of false church movement that will sort of make them feel like what they would feel in the 1,000-year reign of Christ. Like I get like I I really wonder if something like that might be coming, especially when you see people like Larry Gators, who says he's Q, which I got a video, a short clip showing that on my channel. And he says I am Q, and he's talking about how he had these people protecting him, and I see this false ecumenicism associated with Trump. I could see like someone like Larry Gators pulling people in, whether you think he's Q or not. I can see how he's capable of hooking people and pulling people in. And then you just combine someone with like a Vegano, maybe, who maybe someone like that takes the head of the Catholic Church and like, yeah, we defeated the evil Pope Francis, and we're like this new Catholic Church that's going to come out of it. And yeah, we love Trump and we want to get rid of all this evil too. And then they're like, oh wow, look at this new Catholicism. This is more like real Christianity. And I could see these people flocking to it. And Trump helping, everybody like, oh yeah, new Catholicism. But they won't, but they'll tell themselves, oh, this isn't a new Catholicism. No, this is more biblical. This isn't even like the old Catholicism. We got rid of those people. We got rid of the Pope Francis and all that. Like I could see something like that rising up out of all this, and a united church and state. And it will be sort of mimicking things. Anyway, Miss Molly says, 8 true seeking, I agree. I've been upset with the people and used to argue with people too. The more I woke up, I started to see that calling people names and not understanding their point is useless. Yeah, I've been there myself, when I was younger. Hopefully I'm not like that now. So I'll read just a couple more. There's a lot. I might just kind of start picking and choosing from, because I'm going to need to wrap my show up in about 10 minutes. United Heretics Rising says, people struggling for something to hold on to. Do you know about the Carnation Revolution of Portugal in 1974? That's the plan that they're not counting on happening, and exactly what's going to. It's happening in every nation. Collective consciousness is rising to a critical mass. It's an exponential curve that they will not flatten. Rome is falling as we speak. Rejoice in the knowledge. No, I do, like right now, I was thinking I was maybe seeing like people waking up, and I was thinking I was maybe seeing the end of Roman Catholicism, but I kind of am starting to wonder if there's, like with this Bishop Vigano and the way people keep treating Trump, if there's going to be like some kind of like, hey, we got rid of this false corrupt Catholicism, and this, like I said, at this ecumenical group with like a Catholic like Vigano, with like a world leader like Trump, rise up some kind of new Christianity that everyone flocks to, and all the so-called Protestants would be like, well, no, this isn't even like the Catholic Church I knew of. This is something new. It's not the same. Like those corrupt people are gone. And I could see a lot of people maybe flocking to something like that. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's just something like I just wondered, like when I do see people like Larry Gators get caught up real deeply in this and get these big followings and get on radio shows, national radio shows and things like that, I start to wonder. I'll just go ahead and read. United Heretics Rising says, BS, if magic was real, then David Copperfield would have made the Jesuit order disappear already. Well, not necessarily. I don't know. Is David Copperfield a Protestant? So, you know what? He could be. David Copperfield might be working with Trump. Might go, if he's not Protestant, go help make some of these truths disappear so they can keep covering things up. But anyway, Miss Molly says, eighth truth seeking. Sometimes I think to myself and wonder whether the Bible is real or just their playbook. I hate thinking that, but it's so accurate. No. The Bible's definitely real. I mean, that's why they were trying so hard to cover up the Bible. God, the Bible is light. God is light. God is truth. It's like, and the truth sets you free. It sets you free from the lies. And the thing about the Bible is, it's like, a lot of people, like, they tortured people for merely, and I mean, in the most ruthless ways, for just trying to translate the Bible to English, just to even like copy it and hand copies of it around. They would torture people if they catch them. Why is that? That's because basically, a lie cannot withstand the tiniest wind of truth, the tiniest little breath of truth. It will knock down a fortress of lies. It will just destroy it. It will shred it up. It doesn't take much truth. It takes, like a fortress of lies can only stand when you got a lot of other lies to support it. But once you have the tiniest bits of truth coming out, that foundation, it's going to start crumbling. That whole fortress is going to crumble with ease. But now, if I build my house out of just a little bit of truth, I mean, let's say, I'm not saying like it's mixed with lies and truth, but I'm saying if I'm like sitting there building a house and I'm like, I know this is true and I'm building it. Well, if I have a hurricane of lies come against my house is not going to be phased. If it's made of truth, it's not going to be phased. But the fortress of lies, they got to be scared of even like little winds of truth, and they got to control that, and they got to control that in people's minds, and they got to get people's minds warped so people's minds don't perceive that as true, so that light doesn't come in, so that they can exist within inside that person, so their lies can exist within inside that person. You can't let the Bible get into someone's conscious and mind, because then that their lies can no longer manipulate you and control you. Their reality can no longer exist within you, because the truth has tore that lie apart. I mean, yes, the truth has tore that lie apart if it penetrates your consciousness. So that's why they have to go after that. See here. United Heretics Rising says Trump appointed over 60 Jesuit coadjutors, has the firmest proof of his loyalties. Never mind his Jesuit education and all of his children. Yeah, Fordham University, Jesuit educated, and like that's not sending off alarm bells to someone, right? United Heretics Rising says America's not the empire and the American people are not guilty. It's the Roman Empire, and America, with tyranny by minority leadership, got caught running the bag across the street for Rome. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, like, really, with my experiences, the way people just take and treat the truth, they, to me, they behave like swine, and God says, don't cast don't cast pearls before swine. And now, I don't try to judge people, but man, when you start telling them truth and they hate it, it's I don't know. That's why I kind of think people in America do got what's coming. Because if you would just accept the truth, like, let's say those people, instead of banning me, they would have been like having like an open and honest discussion. Like, have an honest discussion. Set your emotions aside about what you want to believe. Have an honest discussion. Let's talk about Barr and Kavanaugh. Are they actually corrupt? Did they actually help the deep state in the past or not? Why don't you change me? Because see me, I'm just going to go tell more people. Well, what if I'm lying? Well, if you would have set me straight, maybe I stop lying because you set me straight. I'm like I'm under a delusion, and you set me straight by talking to me. But when you just go, no, I'm just banning you. What is that? Because obviously you don't like if I'm lying, I'm kind of like a virus, and I get to keep spreading. It's like, why are you doing this? So I mean, so to me, a lot of Americans, they have spread this virus of hating the truth, this virus of just wanting to believe what makes them feel good emotionally, and that's kind of why we're all locked down. We're locked down. The world's locked down, and because we would not challenge Trump. Because just think about if all these people, instead of kicking me off their channels and Twitters and all these places where they got, like, some of these people had 50,000 to 100,000, some even had 1 million people, and they went and like kicked me off their like channels, and what if they would have said, been like, wow, that guy made a point, and then we have millions of people telling Trump, hey, what about this guy? We don't like this guy Kavanaugh. Can't you get someone better? Do you have to keep nominating nothing but Catholics? Like, if we would have raised our voices about that, maybe Trump, even if he was controlled by the deep state, has to, like, he can't be exposed, right? So maybe we force his hand, because he at least said he was going to fight the deep state. So now if Trump's being called out, even the deep state has to allow him to pick good people. Because if not, if you don't at least pick a couple of them, you're going to get exposed. Or at least you've got to pick people better that can pull the wool over our eyes better. And if they got to pull the wool over our eyes better, they can't just outright do things so overtly. They got to slow it down. They got to do it even more minuscule, even more hidden. They just can't. But like me right now, I'm seeing like we never challenge these people, and they don't have to pump the brakes. They just got to do just enough to where the sleepy people, they keep getting to believe their fantasies that make their emotions feel good. And that's all they really have to do right now. And that's, like I said, that's part of what I think the whole rigging the election is, and Trump's going to fight it and win it. It makes their emotions feel good. And they'll just go along with this ultimate plan, and Trump is just going to easily lay it in there, but still going at a faster speed. And even if we do wind up exposing it, now it's like it's pretty scary, because okay, it's like I go fight something in front of a Supreme Court full of Catholics. It's like, well, who are they going to support? Are they going to support Catholic Fauci or me if it's me and him going, head to head in court, Okay, 8 True Seeking says an interesting one is a video by Miss Dana Ashley. Oh yeah, Dana Ashley. That's 2 words. Okay, that's why it was throwing me. But the whore USA of Babylon, Israel, made in 2018, like an intense match of spot on to right now. I think I know which one you're talking about, but I didn't know she called it Babylon Israel, because I don't really think Israel is Babylon, but I mean, I do like some of her work. I thought she made some like really awesome points. But I don't remember this video right off the hand, so I'm going to try and wrap the show up. I'm just going to kind of like throw people's comments on the screen, so in case someone's watching this on their TV, they can kind of see these comments, because I don't think they're going to watch the chat logs. I don't even know if the YouTube TV app has that ability to where they can see those chat logs or not. So I'm going to kind of be a little quick about it. Hopefully I don't go too quick. You can just pause your TV, maybe rewind it if you think there's something. But I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm just gonna show a couple of things about Bar and kind of end this broadcast. But I guess I'm not used to having like people say so much in my chat. So anyway, just gonna kind of throw everything up on the screen so it's not missed in my show. And I'm gonna probably like stop after like. Oh wow, it's hard. I don't even know if I'll be able to do this. Because I'm just gonna kind of click real fast. That way, someone can just maybe if they're watching this on their TV, they can just pause it, see the comments. Because I think that like your comments are important and they're part of the show. And I don't mean to do this to you. I really need to wrap this up, and I just kind of want to show. Oh, I gotta bring that up first. Let me. Where is that at? Because there's just a couple of things about William Barr, and I'll just do William Barr. Maybe do Kavanaugh some other time, but I'll just do this some stuff about William Barr real quick, just so people know. Some of my friends that I have like these little spats with, they understand that there actually is some proof to all this. Anyway, Kat Young, she wrote a pretty good little article a long time ago. It was about 3 or 4 years ago. After an Idaho jury found Weaver not guilty on almost all charges, federal judge Edward Lodge slammed the Justice Department and the FBI for concealing evidence and showing a callous disregard for the rights of the defendants and the interests of justice. A Justice Department internal investigation compiled a 542-page report detailing federal misconduct and cover-ups in the case and suggested criminal charges against the FBI officials involved in Ruby Ridge. Barr told the New York Times in 1993 that he was not directly involved in the Ruby Ridge operation. 2 years later, the Washington Post revealed that top officials of the Bush Justice Department had at least 20 phone contacts concerning Ruby Ridge in the 24 hours before Vicki Weaver was shot, including 2 calls involving Barr. Okay. I'm kind of skipping to a different part of the article, but right here, Barr received a routine questionnaire from the Judiciary Committee asking him to disclose his past work, including pro bono activities serving the disadvantaged. So this is at his most recent nomination for Attorney General. The disadvantage that Barr spent the most time helping was an FBI agent who slayed an Idaho mother holding her baby in 1992. Barr spent 2 weeks organizing former attorney generals and others to support an FBI sniper and defending against criminal charges in the connection with the Ruby Ridge incident. Barr also assisted in framing legal arguments advanced in the district court and the subsequent appeal to the Ninth Circuit, he told committees. That charitable work for an FBI agent who already had a federal paid law firm defending him helped tamp down one of the biggest scandals during Barr's time as Attorney General from 1991 to nearly 1993. Barr was responsible for both U.S. Marshals Service and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, two federal agencies whose misconduct at Ruby Ridge helped to weaken the bond of trust that must exist between ordinary Americans and our law enforcement agencies, according to a 1995 Senate Judiciary Committee report. So why would you nominate someone like Barr? So that's just something about the red flag laws. That's just more about the Waco, Texas. I'm not gonna read this because I've really gotta wrap this up. But this is some stuff about Barr's involvement in the whole Waco thing. But right here, Ruby Ridge, holding a sniper liable would severely undermine, if not cripple, the ability of an agent to do his job. And that's right from Barr's own mouth. So there's one article. I don't know where I got this from, but it basically says he worked for the CIA and NSA. I think they meant NSA, and I don't think they meant NASA. Spying on Americans unconstitutionally and supported the Patriot Act. So we all know, do any of us patriots like the Patriot Act? Supported indefinite detention. So that means holding you forever, and we don't have to, tell you when we're going to let you go. And it says he worked hard to condone the actions of ATF and FBI agents during the Ruby Ridge and Waco while serving as Attorney General during Ruby Ridge and the first 14 days of the Waco siege. And then going on to be one of the defense lawyers for the ATF. So, just a real corrupt guy. I'm just going to kind of leave it there. Yeah, I think I've got everything about Barr that I wanted to get out. Yeah, that was it. So, okay. Hey, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching the show. I guess I'm going to just kind of share these comments. Just take about 5 minutes for each comment. And appreciate everyone's comments. Glad you helped throw some things out there to talk about. I'm really happy you stopped by, and I appreciate everyone's kind words about my show, and trying to do the best I can, trying to figure out some other things to do. I did go to my hardware department. I couldn't find the oxygen level detector thing there. I still do plan on doing that thing where I stick it up under the mask and then go talk to public officials and people on the school board and things like that. That's something I'm still trying to work on. Some of it was a little bit of money. a thing for a day, you know, and then other times it's just a matter of trying to find a place that sells it. So and like tomorrow, I like today I bought some PVC pipe real thin, but so I can hold up signs way up in the air so everyone can see them. And I plan on writing something and just walking around downtown um, where I live and just bringing something to people's attention, and whether it's about early treatments for COVID that can practically end deaths if they're instituted, and basically letting people know that our local health department are murderers. Because like I said on my other shows, if different states could have their own marijuana laws, surely we can have our own life-saving COVID protocols where we allow zinc and hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin all to be used in early treatment, and give them high doses of vitamin D um, and and save most of the people. This was recorded in even high risk people. In fact, it was a study done just on high risk people, and it was comparing them to a group of people that was from all different other risk, like from your very low to your very high. And this Dr. Salenko, his patients on average did better than the other patients that were from all different age groups. His Salenko's patients were in the 60s. So that's another thing I want to put on signs, and kind of like see what happens, like kind of put that truth down there and see what happens, and so I just oh no, I love overly deep thoughts. So you're and I thank you people for throwing those out there. It's like if I had more time, I'd sit there and actually like go into them. I just some of the things you people are throwing out there, I was like, okay, if I even start to go down this, it's like you can't. Some things I knew, like if I was even to start to go into them, there's no way I could end the show as quickly as I wanted to. I'd have another 10-hour show probably. Um, so I appreciate that very much, Miss Molly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And oh yes, the smallpox. I actually do kind of freak out about that. That's the one thing we should all be studying and looking into is how to best handle that. If you cannot get to a hospital, do not count on a hospital being available. Because that's one thing I was worried about with COVID. That's why I studied it so much when it first happened, because I didn't know what it was when I saw it happening in December and our government was like playing it down. I was like, man, if this thing is as bad as what it looks like, it could, you might have overwhelmed hospitals. You might not even be able to get in a hospital. And I got all these friends that were panicking about that, but yet they're watching their Netflix while they're sitting at home from work getting government paychecks. It's like, dude, you see all these warnings and that's what you do? Like, you people are actually real sickening, A lot of people I knew, real sickening, You're just going to sit there, watch Netflix, worry about your baby, but you're just going to watch Netflix and you're not going to look anything up. And then you're just going to tell me I'm crazy and I'm stupid whenever I was like, hey, here's something for you. You look at this and oh no, it's like, so you're going just to kind of like hope this pandemic doesn't get big, hope a hospital just happens to be open for you, and hope you can just get in it, But see, as I was worrying about that, I was looking at it going, oh, this doesn't look so bad. And oh, it looks like if you do these things, you should reduce your chances of dying from COVID down at least by 90% just by doing this. And then you do this other thing, you might be able to get it down another, 0.5% or 2 in this. And pretty soon you're just like, wow, man, I'm pretty confident I'm not going to die if I get this, if I do all these things. So, and actually, I used to be sick all year round. This is the first year I have not had any kind of cold or anything since January, which is when I started studying all this real deep because I was getting nervous before the lockdown and never had a cold, had all year round, you know. It's the first time in a while, and that's basically because I was trying to boost my immune system because I was like nervous just in case I'm wrong about it. You know, let's go ahead and boost the immune system. And sure enough, I guess I was very deficient in a lot of things. Um, so anyway, but you know, like I said, you know, maybe things do actually get shut down. Maybe hospitals do get overwhelmed. Maybe doctors die from smallpox, and you can't even get a doctor to look at you because they're all dead. So people need to kind of look up things for themselves and kind of, you know, be prepared for the worst. You know, in case it does go that direction. I'm starting to pull back from thinking that. I was kind of thinking, okay, they might really go the smallpox direction, but I kind of wonder if Trump goes ahead and beats this, like I think he's going to beat this rigging because I think that's part of the script. I wonder if that smallpox happened, but maybe it still does because I mean the corona happened, or maybe smallpox doesn't happen next year, but it happens towards the end of his presidency in the fourth year, like corona did this year. And but anyway, I'm gonna cut it short. Well, click all your comments up on the screen. Could have done that while I was talking. I'm sorry. Could have. That's really odd, man. Everyone's talking about Albert Pike right now. Like his name has been brought up a lot. My wife brought him up. So, but hey, thanks for watching. And I'm gonna end it. Thank you.